Hi everyone, Bruce Wards here. Thanks so much for the interest and for taking the time to check out my videos and for what I'm getting up there on the moon. There's just so much up there. Hey, here is a quick glance of May 17th, 2018. Yesterday, the crescent moon, 7% illuminated with Venus. A quick glance of Venus. Venus was 6 degrees to the right of our moon yesterday on May 17th. And between that, as you can see here, well, here's an object that was probably a star because it remained in place. We could see many objects between the sun and, not the sun, between the moon and Venus. Look at the interesting object that's up here that we can see. Again, I'm going to say it like I do every time, the line of light. This is with my P900, by the way. You see how it's just a bright corner, right? So taking out the 14 wouldn't have been worth it. But as you're watching this, I am crossing my fingers hoping that I am right now outside with the telescope, I hope, while you're watching this. Here's a star or something glittering, of course, beside the moon. When I say beside, it could be probably very far off in the distance, but seen in the field of view. A couple of days ago, the size of the Statue of Liberty, an asteroid, passed between Earth and the moon. Very uncomfortably, I heard. 13,000 kilometers? I don't want to be wrong, so I'm not going to take a guess at the distance, but apparently it was the closest Earth has ever seen, especially at that size. So I'm just going to tell you guys, where do you think these objects are coming from? There has to be other activity out there and other objects clashing. It has to be. If not, we wouldn't see new asteroids appear hundreds and thousands of years after, I don't know, like Halley's Comet, you know? We see these comets go by all the time. They leave, they come back, they leave, they come back. And then all of a sudden we see this huge, gigantic Statue of Liberty piece going by between, I mean, that's dangerous. Think of it. Okay. First of all, for the satellites, right? How many secret satellites are out there? Must have been very dangerous for the satellites. This is what the moon on May 17th looked like, full. People say, oh, what the hell? This isn't the full moon. No, well, you see the crescent moon, which is very bright, and you can just tell that I enhanced it, of course, and we can see the entire sphere. This is how I go get asteroids and other objects around the moon. Here's another object right here. Brilliant beside the moon. So I'm going around amongst the moon on the right side between the moon and Venus to try to see the other stars that are there, because of course Venus is very bright, and for some reason it gets a lot of attention when it's beside the moon, and a lot of people talk about it. Scientists talk about it, and many studies being done on them, of course, secretly, right? Because we never hear about the real stuff. What is really going on? What the hell is going on the moon? I've seen activity. I've seen what I believe is life now. That green line, by the way, is a lens flare. It's my camera because it should be at the end of the moon. I was moving over. So that's a lens flare, that green line there. But look here, that object, of course, very brilliant. Could be, of course, a star, turning, spiraling, whatever. I just like examining what's on the side. So this is it. Isn't it nice? The moon, a full moon on May 17th. I like to see how it turns and how it is different in its orbit as it turns, and the part that we can't usually see. This is directly on the surface of the moon. We have colors, and in the green areas, there are objects that look to me like buildings at times, but of course could be machinery mechanisms. Do you guys know about Rupes Recta? Say to yourself, this is 1,000 feet, they say 800 to 1,000 feet high. Okay, so could you imagine some of the craters, guys, that could be 5 to 10,000 feet towering up off the surface? Because you can see all the craters that are around here the supposed high albedos, are towering off the surface. Here in the north side, we can see at the back, there is an area, guys, where that blue beam is, or light that we see all the time. It's higher elevated area, and that is where I see glass structures. They are lit up. This Plato crater, all the color that is around Plato crater, and this, look it up. NASA studies it and talks about it, about the only thing it talks about around Plato crater, the transient lunar phenomenon that's there, and in other areas of the moon on the surface. Colors, that's what happens. Purples come up, blues, greens, aurora borealis styled like lights that appear, or mists, hazes. So why are there gases, hazes, mists? It's mixed between them, me believing they're mining, between me believing that the mineralogy on the surface is somehow making this mist, dust, and gases. Could it be the sun reflecting on the surface as it's cooling off? Guys, are the temperatures that we know of on the surface of the moon actually real? I mean, this really does change a lot. If the temperatures that we know are not real, well, that would change a lot also of the story. There's a big difference, on the surface. I'm seeing what looks like, at the beginning, I thought they were crafts, and they still could be crafts. But one guy told me that two objects were going at the same speed, frame rate. It's impossible. It's not. Take a look at this. This is slow motion. So these two are actually flying by. They're not going bit by bit. I slowed it down frame by frame for you to see each frame of them flying by, but they're actually going in a straight line. And because of the oscillation on the surface, it looks like sometimes they're wavering fish, but in reality, these objects that we're seeing are objects that are flying or traveling straight lines. And that's what we're seeing. Look at that. Closer than ever before. More creatures or UFOs on the surface of the moon. Towering structures here in the double crater, which I am going to show you guys zoomed out. I've showed only 3 times where this exact spot is. We're in the southern highlands. There it is. I'll get an arrow up on this crater, and just over top, well, actually, I don't need an arrow. Here's the finger, and watch. We're going to zoom up directly. There's the city I just showed you. It looks like glass or salt, basalt, or whatever. The wall is there. It's the shots that I got. All the proof is there, and there's more structured objects all around and amongst. Here to the left too, see, notice it's a double crater. These white markings are also hidden structured bases. I can see them, and they're right in the edges of the craters, made to look like, they're not necessarily made to look like basalt or ejecta, but NASA sure tells us it is. This is a close view of Clavius crater with the real thing, an object flying over Clavius crater, and one of the biggest craterlets inside of Clavius crater with headlights or some kind of bright light. It's pretty beautiful, and the best part of this, guys, is that we're looking at craters that everyone is familiar with. Clavius crater, everyone knows it. Everyone knows Plato crater. Everyone knows Copernicus crater. I have yet to check the other ones. Of course, Aristarchus coming up soon, hopefully soon. But of course, again, tonight, the moon is not going to be that big if I do get it. But it doesn't matter. Damn it, I am still going out to get it. We need some new footage. But there's still so much we can do with this older footage. And older, 4 weeks. Anyways, guys, how about this? Mountains. Look at the way we're looking through that veil. You do see a clear haze. Admit it, guys. To the right on the bottom, you see it there. It's right there. And these, for the first time, really do look like mountainous objects. But just a beautiful way of getting under that bloody veil that is so hard for us, stopping us from seeing the beautiful colors and all the activity, I'm sure, that is underneath all of this. Thanks to all contributors, and two recent ones, Mr. Robert Ballard and most recent, Mr. Russ Brock.